A lot of people spend their whole life in situations that are uncomfortable because they're too afraid to change. Whether it's being in a job that's not working, not fulfilling us anymore, a relationship that's not working, maybe where we live, not really where we want to be, and not being happy. And the fear of stepping out of the known and into the unknown keeps people suffering unnecessarily. And I got an inquiry this week about chronic fatigue. And chronic fatigue is largely, in my experience, and I had chronic fatigue many years ago now, but it's largely about not listening to and following our heart, staying in our head and using willpower to push and make things happen. About 30 years ago, I was on scholarship at the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra, and I would get fit. I was training 200 kilometers a week, 2 or 3 times a day running, and I'd get really up to a very high level, and then I'd race and I'd just be totally wiped out. My body just wouldn't recover and I'd have to start at scratch again, and that was very, very debilitating, demoralizing. It was a very stressful and dark time in my life. I was on scholarship at the Australian Institute of Sport. There was like a lot of expectations to be performing at a high level, and I really, really found it difficult. And what I've learned about chronic fatigue and living the life that we're meant to live is that it's all about staying congruent. It's all about listening to our body, to our heart, to the intelligence that's coming through, and trusting that. And what I've noticed with people that have chronic fatigue is they usually have very strong wills. They're very determined. They can drive themselves. And what I learned from chronic fatigue is that chronic fatigue was my teacher. And the lesson that it taught me was to listen to my body, that my body's not a machine, and that I need to relax and connect and trust and stay congruent, stay in my truth in order for everything to work properly. And so in 1988, I learned how to meditate, how to connect inside, raise self-awareness, listen to my own inner truth and follow it, which hasn't always been an easy path, by the way. But what I've discovered through the breathwork that we do is that we are built for wholeness and health and happiness and peace. They are all our natural state. And the reason why we don't feel those things is because we've got out of balance, because we've repressed our emotions, because we've become distressed inside. And what we need to learn to do is to process the unresolved emotional trauma that we're carrying, to learn to center and relax into our body. And when we do that, there's a natural tendency towards health and happiness and wholeness that just happens. And so that's what I do. And I probably still have chronic fatigue. I still have some immune system impairment, but I just manage it now by listening to my body. And when I do get run down, I'll just switch into my connected breathing and learn how to center myself and tune into my physical body and the sensations and bring myself into a place of peace and harmony. And within 20 minutes, I can go from hay fever-like symptoms to totally clear and ready to go. So I can rapidly recharge. Rapid recovery is what my son calls it. Let's do rapid recovery. And it's all about being present in our body and allowing the process that wants to happen to come through us so that we can come back into harmony and balance. And our heart-centered breathwork style that we use is very gentle, very flowing, and very healing, and allows us to perform at our peak in our life. So if you'd like to experience this Tuesday night, I'm running a free open house introduction evening, breathwork session included, and I'll be talking about our heart-centered approach to healing and to living. And I'll also be talking about our heart-centered coach training. If you're interested in helping other people heal and grow with breathwork, then make sure you come along. It's on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. I'd love to see you there.